Hello and welcome to Enterprise Friday on Enterprise Television. I am Kendi Bodun.
And I am Henry Igwebike.
As usual, we thank you for joining us as we bring you key stories shaping Nigeria today. We will begin with a brief review of the newspaper headlines and then move into our main discussion for today. You can join the conversation by liking, following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. You can as well share. Thank you. So joining us to share the matters we have before us is Emeka Madunago. He is a journalist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Emeka.
Good morning to you,
so
Emeka.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your
Good
time.
morning. Thank you.
Yes, so we have 4 newspapers on the desk right now: the Daily Trust, the Vanguard newspaper, the Punch, and the Guardian newspaper. But Emeka, I'd love us to take a look at a very salient discussion for today, and it's coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. But let's take a look at what is happening there. Big story: opposition rejects amendment Electoral Act.
Okay, we also have bag of cement climbs to 11,000 naira.
And also we have INEC shifts the presidential election to January 16, 2027.
Okay, we have Sharia Council to US. You can't stop Sharia in Nigeria.
Emeka, let's take a look at that. Very sensitive it is. Sharia Council to the United States of America. You can't stop Sharia in Nigeria. Emeka, give us a historical analysis of how we got married to this Sharia thing, and knowing that Nigeria is a country that is not in any way connected to necessarily any religious sect.
Thank you very much. Yes, Nigeria is not connected to any religious sect, but interestingly, Nigeria has always flirted. For many years, Nigeria has flirted with Nigeria has flirted with Islamic, or with the Islamic religion, our leaders. That was why former president, former military dictator, Babangida, dragged us into the Organization for Islamic Conference. I think 1986, without due consultations. And then after that, you've seen how, there has been this idea that Nigeria is an Islamic nation. Recently, when President Bola Tinubu visited Turkey, there was a tweet by the Turkish leader, Tayyip Erdogan, where, he wrote in his language and he referred to Nigeria, he referred to Nigeria as an Islamic nation. So even when you look at the Constitution, Nigerian Constitution, Sharia is mentioned in sections 275 and 277. It provides for the establishment of Sharia courts and their jurisdictions over Islamic personal law matters. Now, you can see that the Tinubu administration has also been flirting with Sharia compliant finance, which is called the halal. So all of these things show the tendency to, give the coloration that Nigeria is a religious state, a multi-religious state. Whereas Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. It should be clearly stated. Then when you now come to the issue of Sharia, of course, you see, it's just like you asking for, customary courts. We have customary courts across many states. So you say, okay, that rather we should also have Sharia courts. Now the question to ask is this.
Emeka, sorry to interject there. Emeka, sorry to interject. Is a Sharia court not also customary court? Because lots of people have argued that just like we have customary courts scattered all over the country, that in the predominantly Islamic states, that their own form of customary court is the Sharia.
That's what I was going to. The Sharia court should be like the customary courts. Because Well, give it to adherents of the Islamic religion. Yes, they want their issues to be dealt with in accordance with their religion. But of course, you cannot now say, by that same token, of logic, that customary courts are governed by, that issues at customary court are governed by precepts from Christianity, because there are alternate African traditional religion, adherents, and even people who don't belong to any religion, who also go to these customary courts. So that's why there has been this, there have been calls for caution that we should avoid dragging the nation into religious issues. That is better for us if we maintain a strictly secular state where there's freedom of association, because the Constitution talks about freedom of association. But of course, there are those who tell you that every state of the federation should have space for Sharia. It's all politics. When you begin to hear things like that, that is politics. Politics of dominance. Certain interest groups want to be seen to be the most vocal about promoting their religion, even if it infringes on the rights of others who are not adherents of religion. And by the way, there are adherents of religion who may not necessarily agree with the idea that they must, the issues, there are issues about them, legal issues that lead to court, should be actually addressed in a religious manner. So the debate continues. Now, to the U.S., now the U.S., those congressmen that put the report together have said that, that the imposition of Sharia in Nigeria has led to human rights abuses. That is quoting them, and that therefore, just like the U.S. Department of State's Counterterrorism Bureau said in a tweet some days ago, it said that Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Fulani militants, are desires of establishing, have stated clearly that they want to establish an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria. So, you see, that's why, a nation should be careful about a multi-religious state, should be careful about dabbling into religion. Government sponsoring pilgrimages and all that. So, a lot of Nigerians have called for the abrogation of such. If you want to go on pilgrimage, please, put the money together and go on pilgrimage. The other time, government said it put together 90 billion naira, to support a pilgrimage. That is unacceptable. Look at the 2025 budget. Capital releases were not given to so many ministries, but government still found money to support pilgrimages. Well, I don't care whether it's Christian or Muslim pilgrimage. Government should remove its hands from those things, and let people decide decide if they want to go on pilgrimage. Let them fund it themselves or find sponsorship somehow or the other. So now the U.S. lawmakers are saying that Nigeria must do away with Sharia. That is sort of demanding a constitutional review. Of course, the Sharia has to be removed from sections 275 and 277, of the Constitution. That also, that will mean that mentions of Grand Qadi and all of that in the Constitution will have to be removed. Now, that tends to be that that is an explosive issue, because already some prominent people in the north are saying that in northern Nigeria are saying that it will not work. But the sad thing is that some mischievous elements are now trying to drag Christians into it, saying that it is Nigerian Christians, it was Nigerian Christians who instigated that. And I want to tell them, like I told one of them, I said, you see, you may just sit down somewhere with a phone and tweet, what you like. But it's better you think very deeply of the likely effects of what you say. It's just like the stupid story in New York Times, where they said that it was a screwdriver seller in Onitsha main market in Anambra State who shaped the view of U.S. President Donald Trump in bombing Sokoto. I've never seen such idiotic, such an idiotic view. Anyway, the person who wrote the story, the people who wrote the story, were said to be two a penny, wannabe reporters. So those
are you still there?
not the kind of people, who write a story and allow such rubbish. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very
Hello?
well. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, that the New York Times could lend its reputation to, publish such a story. Of course, it is one of the sad things about PR masquerading as journalism, in today's world, across the world, even in Nigeria, and it's sad. So this is going to be a major issue, because what it means is that the U.S. has already said, it will impose sanctions, and certain things will follow. So,
and you think Nigeria would cave? Emeka, you think Nigeria would cave?
Well, Nigeria might beg. We don't have a choice, so. The government is in a tight corner. The government will try to negotiate its way or ask for some time, but well, it all depends on the which word do I want to use now? It all depends on how things pan out at that very moment, because you saw when Trump called Nigeria a disgraced country and all of that, there were certain dynamics at play at that time, late last year. But it all depends again, because if he agrees with that proposal, that proposition, and Nigeria says no, we're a sovereign nation, we will not bow to that, there will be consequences. And Trump, the kind of person he is, if he's convinced that he should invade Nigeria and remove the leadership, of course he will do it. Yes, he will do it. I mean, he's not somebody, he doesn't look at, he's somebody who doesn't care about third world nations. Doesn't even care about his allies in NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Not talking about third world nations. Somebody who has been threatening to invade Canada, to invade Greenland and all of that. To deal with Russia and all of that. So imagine Nigeria.
Yeah.
So it's all about how the dynamics play out. And I think the Nigerian government is also handling the issues with the necessary diplomatic tact, you expect. All they keep doing is scaremongering. An issue comes up, they first of all try to deflect, then they deny, then they look for whom to blame. That is their, tactic. But those tactics are just they're just rubbish, because they lead to nowhere. Thank you.
Well, if you can say that again. So how does this reply affect Nigeria-US ties?
Let me tell you, Nigeria-US ties, one, we are the underdog. There is trade imbalance. Trump has been using tariffs as a tool, right? And what he can do, one of the things he can do, because there's this talk now that Trump is thinking of using tariffs to replace import duty. You understand? To use it to. So, instead of charging you import duty, he will just simply slam 100% tariff on your country. So by the time your goods cannot come into the U.S., and you cannot reciprocate. Nigeria cannot say it's reciprocating by imposing 100% tariff. Of course, there won't be petrol won't come into Nigeria. Many things will not come in. Flour, wheat, and the rest of them will not come into Nigeria. So we are not in a strong position to put up a resistance. So the best way out is to try and negotiate. But of course, we don't have an ambassador there. And forget about an ambassador getting there. Getting in there before Trump leaves, in 2028. Just forget about that. That will be almost impossible. So we don't have an ambassador, we don't have a consul general, we don't have, we're just using propaganda. The money spent on propaganda, spent on giving to those lobbies, would have been used to take care of some missions. That 9 billion naira would have been used to take care of some missions, and these missions considered critical. But right now, it's clear our ambassadors, they are. We understand that countries are asking. Why are you posting ambassadors now? You are ahead by May 29 to be 3 years that Tinubu has been in power. So what are you trying to prevent? What if you lose what if you lose the 2027 election? What happens to the ambassadors? They will just be settling down when they are being asked again to leave, So they shot themselves in the foot anyway. Thank you.
They shot themselves, of course. Emeka, and still on the issue of religion in the northern part of Nigeria. Emeka, did you see that publication by the Christian Association of Nigeria? 19 northern states in Nigeria have agreed to return back to the former name they used to be called. That is a Northern Christian Association and no longer Christian Association of Nigeria. Did you see that publication? And lots of people would say, why are they doing this at a time like this, knowing that majorly Christian demographics in the northern part of Nigeria have been affected gruesomely? So why do you think the change is what we're observing now?
I didn't see it, so it will be difficult for me to comment because I didn't see the reasons. But
okay.
If I can hazard a guess, I think maybe there are some fissures in the Christian Association of Nigeria. Maybe they feel that the last few leaders of CAN, who are mainly from the south, have not really lent their voice, against persecution of Christians, against killing of Christians, burning of churches, You see how tepid everywhere has become. I mean, the last few. I mean, unlike when Pastor Ayo Jaffo was the president of, first of all, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, and then later CAN. When you had the prelate of Methodist Church at that time, Bank, and you had some fire, but since then it's been watery. Been totally watered down. The leaders of CAN, even PFN. Do you even remember there's a PFN?
Yeah.
You don't remember that there's an organization called PFN? They have, some of their leaders, are clearly in bed with the politicians.
Very well.
You heard some of them who have come out to say, oh no, there's no persecution. I mean, look at what CBN News, an American Christian outfit, said about Remi Tinubu, that she claims to be a pastor, but she says she opposes any claims of Christian genocide. I learned that she, requested to be part of the International Religious Freedom Conference in the United States, but she was turned down. Because of course they don't. I mean, look at the way she dresses. Do you think the Christian women dress like that? No. I mean, she dresses like a Muslim. So how can you say you're dressing like a Muslim and you claim you're a pastor every day? I just think those are just performative titles that are just for politics. And you see, the Bible says God cannot be mocked. Yes, what a man sows, he will reap. I mean, if you're trying to use, things about the word of God, to pursue political ambitions, of course, you're going to fail. Because God is not involved in politics. God is not interested in politics. That is it.
Yeah,
so we wait and see how things pan out.
Yes, very well said. It's actually quite unfortunate when politics meanders right into religion and one cannot, decipher which is which. Exactly at a time like this, Pastor Adefarasi and many other pastors who have alleged that there is no Christian genocide anywhere, and this is not the first time it's been happening, so it's more like a culture. Imagine coming from pastors who are members of the Christian Association of Nigeria. So if you're wondering why the 19 northern states have asked that they should go back to the former name they used to be called, the Northern Christian Association, that is one amongst many reasons. Emeka, let's get to the economy. Right now.
When Adefarasi was chairman of PFN in Lagos, and let me just clear something that there is this tribalistic, this tribalistic tone that's crept into the church in Nigeria. Many of these Christian leaders, especially from the southwest, are tribalistic in the way they run their churches, in the way they project themselves. They are tribalistic. I don't want to mention names, but of course, people have said it openly. I mean, because your kinsman, Bola Tinubu, is in power, you have suddenly lost your voice. But when Jonathan from the South was president, you carry placards on the streets. Well, if people call them hypocrites, well, I don't know which other word can be used. Thank you.
Well, lots of people will say that God has so much to judge when the trumpet finally sounds. But Emeka, let's go to economy for a bit. You are a landlord. Emeka, a bag of cement is now 11,000 naira. How did we get to this despicable level, especially at a time when there is a strong housing deficit? Civil servants today in Lagos particularly can't even afford one bedroom. Talk more of the 2 and 3 bedroom flats that is sold upwards of 70 million and above. How did we get to this level, especially under this administration?
Sorry, point of correction. A bag of cement is 11,500. I don't know where that person who wrote 11,000 said it's 11,500. And then by the time you add money for Okada, because if you are in a developing area, you know, you pay like 300 naira for Okada. So you are talking about almost 12,000 naira.
12,000, yeah.
Yes, almost 12,000 naira. You know, depending also on the terrain, you know. So that's why some of my people abroad, you know, when they watch some of these YouTube videos, a bag of cement is 10,000. And they contact me and I tell them it's not true. They think maybe I want to, you know, I want to take money from their pockets. And I say, okay, call the person now who said the bag of cement, send money to them. When they eat your money, you know, don't come back to me. So the thing is this, the housing deficit, you know, demand is what is driving prices. You see, the instability of the dollar. You can see very clearly that the Tinubu government has been manipulating the exchange rate. Yes, they tell you, because of weak demand for US dollar, that's why the US dollar has become weak. Because Chinese markets were on holiday. Because they just keep looking for excuses, but it's not true. None of it is true. The fact is that they've been spending money defending the naira, and in doing that, it still doesn't reflect in the market because a lot of inputs, you know, that we use in our manufacturing in Nigeria, in our local production, still come from abroad. Last year, Tinubu gave money to his cronies to import low-grade food from Asia. Do you know how many farmers were wiped out? I, for one, have not been to my farms for some months. Yes, I'm only waiting for the rains to come so that, I can just get somebody to clear the farms and think of what I can do. You know, now, since Tinubu has decided to be importing rice and all those things, so let's leave it for him. And then even Gary and all of those things. And another thing is this. You see, the capacity of these local cement companies cannot meet demand. Then to make matters worse, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has insisted on building concrete roads. And so you see that places pressure on cement companies to meet demand because demand from government can be so huge. That is also what is reflecting in the banking industry. A state governor can call a bank MD. Oh, can you hear me?
Very well, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
A state governor can call a bank MD and say, we need so we need 100 billion. And the bank MD will say, okay, so, okay, we'll give it to you at 50%. And the governor will say, okay, no problem. Now, you, an ordinary businessman, even a Dangote, going to the bank, and then they tell him, look, we can't, we can't give you. In fact, we even want to call in some of the loans, you took before. Because why? They have to service the, political borrowers. Every month now there's allocation.
Yes.
So because of that, you see that people like Dangote, Bua, and the rest of them, they cannot but increase their prices because there's no stability in the forex market. There's no stability in the economy. And you see, okay, what about power supply? Dangote is generating 1,500 megawatts for his refinery alone. How about his cement industries? How about other businesses? How are they generating power? How is Bua generating power? So when you look at all of these things, what they spend a liter of diesel is over 1,000 naira. What people are spending on manufacturing will scare you. Honestly speaking, it will scare you. That's why you see many people are not going to manufacturing anymore. They prefer to import. But even importing now, the exchange rate is crazy. So, people just take their money to they just use their money to go and buy treasury bills, and mutual funds, mutual money funds. And just relax at home, collect the interest on top, paid upfront, and use it to go and enjoy themselves. Well, I didn't cause Nigeria's problem, so I will not be a victim of Nigeria's problem. So that's why you see all of this things. In fact, yesterday on Facebook, the things I read, made me scared. Somebody was asking, how can shop rent for a shop or something, jump from 4 million to 34 million, 35 million? Even I, as a landlord, I was scared.
Yes, I saw it.
How will I was just wondering, how will I? Sorry?
Yes, I saw it. I saw the lady who was making such allegation and all.
I don't even know how we go and meet a tenant and move rent from 4 million to 10. I don't know how people muster the courage, but I'll be afraid. You get it? I'll be afraid because my conscience would allow me 34 million. And the funny thing, it is now affecting commercial tenants more than residential tenants. Because you see shops that are doing business, they will just pass on the cost to their customers.
Yeah.
Yes,
So who loses in the end? It's you and I that are losing, whether you're a landlord or not. After raising the rent from 4 million to 34 million, you are still going to go to that same person to buy things. And then now when the man increases cement from 10,000 to 12,000, you say, why? But you don't look at, it's just, a vicious cycle. The Tinubu government must do something about the economy. Is in a bad shape. Forget all the stories, all the lies they've been telling. The economy is still in a bad shape. A government has not been able to release capital votes to ministries since 2024. They said they will release 2024 in 2026, and they are still telling stories. They've not released anything. No. They said the 2025 budget will run to March. This is March. March is just knocking on the door. Tomorrow, February will end. By Sunday, it will be March. And the 2025 budget will end by Sunday. So there is nothing. What are they really looking at to say, this is how we are going to shore up the economy? Nothing. It's just borrowing. You borrow your way to prosperity now. Look at debt services. 67% of whatever revenue you are making is going to debt services. So why are you deceiving yourself? You say, money came in, that's why remittances, oil and all that. Please, first of all, my brother, whenever you see those figures, remove 67% first. Because those ones, theirs is on first line charge. They remove their money up front. Yeah. They don't forget that Buhari had sold a lot of our oil up front. So you remove that one too. How much is remaining for Nigerians? That's why you see there's no money to back up capital projects. It's sad. Thank you.
Very, very so sad. And little wonder the comedian turned jester Sheilo could not even defend where he is feeding from. Even when it was posed on him with verifiable facts, he couldn't defend it because there was absolutely nothing to defend. And that is the propagandist administration that we run today in Nigeria. We pray that things will be better, and possibly someday we would have a messiah, a leader that would come salvage all of the little issues we have and maybe possibly fix it for Nigerians and posterity. Emeka will still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Independent National Electoral Commission shifts to 2027 elections. Enterprise Friday, it is, don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.